Good morning, friends! Hey, folks, and welcome to another painting stream. I'm Andrew, and I go by the moniker of Thanatos in the interwebs, and welcome again to my stream where I paint Warhammer minis. Primarily, I'm going to paint other stuff, but right now we're doing terrain for Warcry, and we're making some great progress. And I have been doing this now for a little more than a week. It's been 10 days? 10 days, about, that I've been doing this. And so far we've made a lot of progress, which is really nice. I've said a number of times that I am not used to working on this scale. I've done some miniature painting, but primarily I've been painting my Tau, and not even large Tau, just tiny little fire team Tau. So this is what I started with when I was painting. Well, no. When I started, I was doing Rune Wars, and I have a number of Rune Wars figures here as well. But Tau is what I was doing initially for Warhammer, and then I painted up the demo for the store's copy of Underworld, which was a lot of fun. And now I'm working on the store's demo for Warcry, which has a lot more pieces and takes a lot more time. And that's why I'm doing it here with you folks, my friends in the internet, is because it motivates me. You know, it's easier to get stuff done when I have folks hanging out with me and chatting, and it keeps my mind off of just the monotony of painting. Hopefully, the stream itself is not monotonous. I tend to prattle on, and not just about painting. So let's go to overhead cam and take a look at what we've been working on this week. So this week I started in on the larger pieces of terrain for Warcry, and I am super happy with how this piece is coming out. Did a little bit of detail work on it yesterday. We got the eyes and the headband on this statue done. We got all these stairs done, all these little spikes done, skulls, a whole bunch of little skulls. So what's left to do for the base coat for this piece are these little bits here, which, if you'll recall, I've been doing in a sort of burgundy red on my test pieces there. So we'll do that. And then these bits here around the stone head are the same as these masonry bits at the bottoms of these pieces. So I want to do them as if they're marbled. So I need to get those done, and then I'll be done with the base coat for this. Pretty much. There's like some little rubbly bits here. I'm going to do those in a darker gray to make them stand out from the rest of the head. But then we'll be pretty much done with this piece. I think today we're going to take a break from this piece, though. I'm going to set it aside over here, out of camera shot, and we're going to work on this piece, because this is the other piece that I want to get done this week, and it's Wednesday and I haven't gotten much paint on it. Obviously I've worked on some of these skeletons here, but I've got the back skeletons to do. This one I need to touch up a little bit because the paint got too wet and didn't go on very evenly. Then I've got all this masonry here. There's quite a lot of it, and we're going to do that in the same sort of deck tan that we're using for our marble. And then we've got some wood down here, the base. We've got this wood platform, steps. I think I'm going to have to do the ladder in a different color to make it pop. Like, if it's the same color as the platform, it's not going to look great. And we've got a little cross beam here in wood, and then we're going to do this bell. I didn't even realize the bell has a clapper and everything too, so that's going to be tricky. So yeah, there's a lot of work to do here on this piece. I'm kind of intimidated, and I think the best way to do it is just to dive right in and start painting. I'm going to start today on these bits here, because we've got quite a lot of that that stuff that is what I've been interpreting as masonry. So I'm going to be using my deck tan. Come on, there we go. Vallejo deck tan is the base color we're using for that. And we're going to be using my Wargamer Regiment brush, which is the brush I used for all the steps on this. It's a larger brush than I usually use. It gives me good coverage. So we're going to work with that. And we'll see how quickly we can get some stuff painted today. I kind of want to be able to get most of these two pieces done this week, because if I can do 2 large pieces of terrain a week, I am well on my way to completing all the terrain this month. There's 6 large pieces of terrain and a couple small pieces that I haven't really touched, and maybe I'll put some paint on those today. There's a lot of stuff that uses this, what I want to use this color on. So we're going to try and get a bunch of that done today. I'm noticing this also has bricks. We're not going to do those in this same color. I think we want those to be slightly different looking. But let's start getting paint on the model. This is the second day in a row that I've started my stream a little bit late. Not super late, but a little bit after my goal of streaming at 10 o'clock. Trying to keep myself to a schedule because I know that will make it easier for me to get stuff done. Should I paint this bit as well? I think I will. Yeah. It will blend in for now, but when I add a wash, it'll be less samey. See some more of these little things. A lot of this masonry has this weird tooth motif. You can see here. This brush is not well suited to precision. It's good for getting a lot of paint on the model quickly, which is great, but it's not great for detail work. But let's see if I can highlight these little teeth here. Perhaps I've been wrong about them. Perhaps they're little demon heads. I just think they look like teeth because we've only ever seen them upside down. But there they are. So yeah, a lot of this stuff to do today. Like, I may do some work on other pieces than just this one. So I do worry about my painting stream becoming monotonous, because I've pretty much used up my tips. We're going to be doing more experimentation and trying new techniques and stuff like that. But right now, because I'm doing these large terrain pieces, it's very much just painting as much as I can, as quickly as I can. And I know when I'm trying to do a lot of painting quickly, I tend to jabber on a little less. Like yesterday's stream was a lot of me sitting quietly, getting paint done. Part of the reason I'm enjoying these streams is that I have y'all in chat to keep me motivated and to keep me from going into a fugue state. So, hey, pipe up if you're watching. Say hello. I would very much like to say hello back. And find out how everybody is doing right now. It's been a busy week for me so far. I mentioned yesterday, Amanda and I put a down payment on a new used car. Because my current car has, for a while, at least a couple of years, been on its last legs. And it has broken down a number of times. I've had to get it towed a few times. Right now, it's incapable of going faster than 40 miles an hour, which means I have to take the long way to work. I can't use the freeway, because boy do people get upset when you go 40 miles an hour on the freeway. Can't imagine why. But yeah, my car, not in great shape. So I'm really looking forward to having a car that works. It's going to be such a novel, weird experience to have a car that actually works. I mean, it's not a terribly new car. Like the one I'm looking at is 2016, I want to say. So it's a little older. But that's, what's within my price range. And it'll be nice to be able to drive to work without worrying that I'm going to be late or break down on the way. So wish me luck on that. My credit is not the greatest in the universe. So hopefully I'll be able to get this thing locked down. I have a call scheduled with the business manager at the dealership tomorrow to talk about financing. And I know I'm not going to get a great rate on it. And that's fine. To be fair, financing a car is a fantastic way to build credit. Because it's a secured loan. They can repossess the car if you stop paying. So there's motivation to make your payments on time besides just building credit. With the result that if you have imperfect credit, as I do, it's a little easier to get an auto loan than, say, just a line of credit or something like that. So hopefully this will help me in more ways than one. I'll end up with a car that works and perhaps better credit. If the number of credit card offers I've been receiving in the mail is any indication, my credit is improving. So there's that. I don't know if you folks can see it, but I'm getting a lot of bubbles in the paint here that I'm kind of having to brush out. It's a disadvantage to using this particular brush. It's great for getting large areas done, but air tends to get caught between the bristles. So I'm getting a lot of bubbles, which I don't love. Bubbles in the paint result in uneven coverage and an odd look to it at times. So I'm going to do these in that brass. I think that'll look good. I hope that'll look good. Because there's these sort of rings grafted onto the marble. I maybe should have used my other brush for this. The detail is fine enough that maybe I should be using my finer brush for this. I'm having to go kind of slowly just because I'm trying to get paint in specific areas, and this brush is not the ideal brush for that. This brush is great for wide open areas, like when I was working yesterday on all that wood, and I'll use it again when we get to these planks here. It's not great for this particular work that I'm doing with it now. I think let me finish up this little bit here, and then let's switch brushes. Trying to make out what some of this stuff is in the model. Looks like this here, right there, is one of these bricks here. So I should do that in a different color, perhaps. And the back sides is going to be tricky. But that's just a general statement of fact on some of what I've been working on this week, is that the back sides and underneaths of things are hard to get to. Be careful that I don't break any pieces off of this while I'm working on it. Can't hold it by the skeleton there. That's not going to work. I don't want to have to try and pin that back in place if I bust it off. It's going to add a significant amount of time to my painting if I have to go back to construction. Thank you, Novocaine, for souls. You say fortitude. I think of it as just pure bloody-mindedness. I want to finish this terrain so that I can get back to working on minis. My reward to myself for doing all this terrain will be that I get to go back to doing minis instead. So I have to do this. The terrain, like I said before, the terrain is useful just to have. It's applicable for more than just Warcry. So if I can get this done, it'll be a benefit to the store. So I'm going to be doing this for at least a couple of weeks. Maybe I'll take a break and do some minis in between. But yeah, I am doing primarily terrain for a couple of weeks now. Which, like I said, I hope it doesn't get monotonous for my viewers. Certainly, having you folks in chat makes it less monotonous for me, because I have other things to think about than just paint. Novocaine, did you get a chance to see what I was able to accomplish yesterday on the other piece, the piece that's a giant stone head with the stairs over it that I was working on Monday and Tuesday? Because I'm pretty happy with the results I got on that. So let me put this aside for just a sec, just so that we can take a look at that again. I want to put it on my keyboard. There we go. So this is that piece that I was working on. You'll remember when you were watching on Monday, I had just started the platform and stairs, and I had done these stakes around the outside for the most part. But we got to do a little bit of cool little details to make it pop. We put in some metallics, we got all these skulls done, we finished all these stairs and the undersides, which, let me tell you, that was not easy. That was time consuming. So I'm really, really happy with how this is coming out now. It's getting close to that point where I'll be able to do a wash on it and call it done. So, progress. And today's goal is to get as much of this sort of the bits that I'm doing in this deck tan, which are the stonework in this piece. I want to try and get as much of that done today as I possibly can. But like I was saying, I think I'm going to have to change brushes, just because this brush is perfect for wide open areas, but it's actually slowing me down working on some of these areas where I'm trying to be a little more detail oriented and get a little more work done, or try and do a little bit more detail work, like these little windowy things here. It's hard to do those with a big brush. So I'm going to switch brushes quickly. Put this one aside. We'll use this when we get back to the stairs here. So Novocaine for the Souls, I had a question for you about the spacecraft that you posted in my Discord. I got a chance to look through all those pictures in some more detail, and a lot of them have those fantastic stained glass window effects on the prows. How much of that is hand done, or do they have decals, or how is that accomplished? Because that's really impressive. It looks fantastic, and I'm curious to know exactly how you did some of that. Okay, so it's like decals, it's transfer paper that you cut out and apply. Ah, cool. So you put them over a silver background to get the window effect, and then varnish. Well, it's a spectacular look. I was really impressed with some of the work on those spacecraft. this is a lot easier to do with this brush than with that regiment brush. I tell you folks, this is my favorite brush. This is the brush I love to use. It gets that coverage and gives me that detail. It's the perfect blend for me. Sounds like our cat is trying to convince my wife to feed her, even though she knows darn well she already got fed. That cat just wants to be fed all the time. Oops. I guess that's a universal cat thing. I just picked this up by the area I was just painting. Doesn't look like I mussed it up or put fingerprints into it, but that is something I have to be more aware of. This piece has got fewer areas to grasp it from, so it's a little bit trickier in terms of holding it while I paint. What I might do is do one side and then let it dry a little bit before I attack the other side, so that I can hold the areas that are dry already. And while it dries, we can apply some paint to other pieces. I've got a number of smaller pieces that I also want to... I don't necessarily have to get done this week, but as long as I'm letting stuff dry, I could work on those. Or I could put some paint on the big head piece. Because there's some other things on that I want to work on. I still have to make a decision about how I'm going to paint these bricks here. There's some there, there's some up here. I'm not going to do them in a red or brick color. I feel like that's too glaring. I'm probably going to do them in a darker gray. Just has to stand out a little bit from the primer. So I don't want them to be exactly the same shade as the primer. There's no point in painting something if you're going to do that. Trouble manipulating this. Just it is, as I said, it's awkward to hold. Keep hitting it with my hand. It's okay. At least I'm making some progress. So yeah, the car is the big news in my world right now. And I'm sort of at a wait and see stage on that. I've put in the application, filled in some paperwork, put down a down payment. And now it's just, I talked to my insurance company so they know I'm getting a new car. Did all those sort of simple task bits. And now it's just waiting for the folks in suits to decide how much to charge me to get this car. Like, I know how much the car itself is going to cost. I just don't know how much the financing is going to cost. 'Cause that's where they get you. It's the interest payments. Over the course of the loan, I'll probably pay for the car twice. Definitely one of those situations where if I had money, I could afford more. Like, anybody who has like $18,000 lying around could just plunk the cash down and own this thing. The fact that I have to finance it means I'm probably going to end up paying like $30,000 to $40,000 for an $18,000 car. It's just the way of the world. Not much I can do about the fact that I don't have a lot of money. I've tried getting jobs that pay better than my current store manager job. My problem is that I can't really live with myself. Most jobs that pay well, I find, eat your soul. The job I have right now is perfect for me. It just doesn't pay that well. I actually really do like my job. Sam Vimes' rule of financial iniquity is that people with money pay less money. It's a crappy state of the world. Thank you, Novocaine, for the souls. I'm glad my Discord is getting some love. It's largely just sat there for a long time. I put it together back when I was streaming some video games irregularly. I didn't do much video game streaming. But it didn't get much attention. So it's nice now that I've got folks posting pictures and stuff in there. I appreciate it. Oops. I thought this here was a piece of stonework, but it's actually a board, as you can see when I turn this over. Easily fixed. these areas here, I can hit with that other brush because they're just big, flat, open areas. We'll come back to those. Progress. Go through a lot of paint. I should buy another bottle of this paint if I didn't already. Bought myself an extra bottle of the dark brown that I'm using for some of the wood. But I don't think I bought an extra bottle of the deck tan. Biggest problem with Vallejo right now is, and it is definitely my favorite paint, but it is manufactured in Spain and not easy to acquire in the US these days. I do the ordering for the store I'm manager at, and I try to restock Vallejo as soon as I see it's available, because if I don't grab it right away, it disappears for a period of months, especially these days with shipping being what it is. It can be a long time before a new supply of paint is available. So I have to keep that in mind. I'm going to have to restock. Kind of want to do these skeletons before I do the area around them. So we may pause on this for a little bit. May pause on this and work on this one a little bit. At least this is giving me a good idea of how long it's going to take me to get this done. Almost feels like there's less surface area on this tall piece. Okay, so this piece has masonry bits all around the base of it. Let's get these done. If I concentrate on this piece, I can finish this base coat today, I think. My goal is to get 2 pieces done this week. If I can get 2 pieces done, I'll feel like I'm in a good place. Just in terms of the amount of time it's going to take me to get all these things completed, and all these do these bits of stone rubble, these things here, in a different color from the stone head. I just feel like that will help call attention to the stone head. It is the focal point of this piece, and I'm concerned that I'm not drawing enough attention to it. Good morning, Jen. Welcome. How's it going? So Jen, I'm trying to get some detail on the base of this piece. We're getting closer to being able to lock this thing. Call it done. And I started putting some color on the base of this piece. So we're making progress today. How's your morning been so far? I have not heard back yet from the finance department at the auto dealership where I put the down payment on my car. So, cross your fingers for me, Jen. Hopefully my credit is not so bad that I cannot get this thing. Sounds like Amanda is doing construction work. She got some shelves for our kitchen, and I think she's building those. Thank you. Fingers crossed. Do this without getting paint on the head. The less I have to fix on the head, the easier it's going to be. Oops. Whatever. Got some paint where I didn't want it. That's fine. Everything's fine. There's this relief in the pillar here. I have to make a decision about if I'm going to bother trying to do anything with that. Probably not. Especially considering that it is entirely obscured. Oh man, I just put my finger right in the paint. Okay. That's fine. Yeah, this is completely obscured by the head, so it hardly matters. I really should have a policy of if it's invisible to the stream, then it doesn't matter. Because who is going to look at terrain on the table any closer than you can see it on my zoom cam here? The answer is nobody. Nobody is going to be looking at it in that detail. Trying to get some detail in here. Filling your lunch break with job applications? Yeah, that sounds bleh. Good luck, though. It feels like there are jobs available right now. Things are definitely opening up, and folks are looking to hire. So I hope that works out for you, Jen. I gotta wash my brush more frequently. This is my favorite brush and I don't want to ruin it. Out of curiosity, and if you don't mind saying, what sort of jobs are you looking for? Can you guys hear my cat out in there? Probably too quiet and too far off, but she is making a racket and demanding food. It's because Amanda's in the kitchen. And if Amanda's in the kitchen, that must mean Clara's getting fed, right? Well, now I expect to emerge from my painting cubicle and discover that there is new furniture in the kitchen. We've got a back door and a basement door in our kitchen, and we've been keeping just pairs of shoes by the back door so that we have them for when we have to go out. Amanda has purchased a small bookshelf to keep our shoes on so they're not just sitting on the kitchen floor. So it sounds like, Jen, you're primarily looking at training roles, higher education. Okay. Research assistant. I wish you luck. I hope you find a position that takes advantage of your talents. Alright, so here, you can see this a lot better here. There's this relief in this pillar. I'm trying to decide if any portion of that should have attention called to it. Like, it's got this sort of halo here. Look at that there. And I think I might do something with that. You'll see this in greater detail on some of the other pillars that are not broken on the other pieces of terrain. So for consistency's sake, if I'm going to do anything on those, I should probably do it on this broken pillar as well. Because I'm all about consistency. I want all of these terrain pieces to look cohesive, as if they come from the same world. I have to say, the particular time that we're in feels very unstable. I'm just reminded of this by Jen looking for a job and me looking for a car, and it's like we're somewhere midway between having to do the normal things that you expect to have to do in normal times and still being caught up in this horrible disease. I know there's a lot of people who are just trying to pretend it doesn't exist, but that doesn't make it not exist. hopefully, vaccines will help. I know I say that. But as an atheist, I do tend to put my faith in reproducible scientific results. And it feels that the vaccines we're looking at are the solution to this problem. The problem being hundreds of thousands of people ill and dying. Getting closer. But even so, we're expected to continue to move on with our day-to-day lives. And that's very difficult to do these days. Like, I can still barely sleep the night through. At least we have each other, right? At least we have people we can talk to. I try to imagine if this same thing had struck even, 30 years earlier, and the internet had not really been as much of a thing. Just how broken it would have left everybody. We've had Jackbox streams and games on the internet. Zoom, of course. We've had a lot of ways to remain in contact with each other throughout this that would not have been available to our ancestors. So I am aware of how incredibly lucky we have been. I don't know, sleep is on my mind because I had a particularly bad night of sleep last night. I don't know why. I woke up before my cat woke me up. Normally she wakes me up at 4 in the morning. And I was awake before she started being a bother. And just could not get back to sleep. Stared at my phone for an hour or two. And sort of drifted in and out of sleep until I had to get out of bed and have breakfast so that I could get ready for stream. It was not restful. I do tend to have interesting dreams, though. That's an interesting observation, Jen. You feel like people have poor sleep at the same time, independently of each other? I wonder if that merits further study. I don't know that I've noticed that, but I haven't really been looking. This is going to be such a pain in the took us. If I want to paint the other side of this pillar here. Let's just see what we can do. Obviously don't want to get paint on any of the areas I painted yesterday. I don't want to have to paint over anything. I think I'm just not going to bother trying to paint the other side of that pillar. It's just an awkward angle. Now, I could get a little bit of it. There. Last night I dreamt that I got elected to Congress. And I was in Washington. And I was trying to find Aisha Presley so that I could have her mentor me. And I was just sort of lost in the halls of Congress. Everybody has that dream, right? I have been to Washington, D.C. exactly once in my life. And I did go see Congress people. And I did visit the Capitol. But I was like 12 at the time, I think, 12 or 13. So my recollections of it are quite vague. I do remember it was a time where I was prone to sleeping in. And at one point, my family went to see museums. I did go to the National Air and Space Museum. But they went to see some other museums. I don't even know what museums they went to see. And I was so dead to the world that they let me just sleep in the hotel room. So yes, I went to Washington, D.C., and slept through things. That's so on brand for me. Yeah, Novocaine, I think you've mentioned before that you have trouble sleeping since your unfortunate bout with COVID. I don't have any similar excuse. I haven't slept well just because, I don't know, stress, general ennui, an unhealthy addiction to social media. I have no excuse of having actually been sick. Ooh, yeah, getting COVID a second time. That's pretty awful. And the idea that it could happen to you is frankly terrifying. Alright, I'm gonna say that's pretty well done. We got those pillars done at the base of this. I got a big blob of paint there, which I didn't intend to do. Meh. Gonna have to do some touch-ups on that head anyways before I do a wash on it. So hopefully we can fix that. Put that aside for a bit. Let's look at a couple of these other tiny pieces of terrain that I have since I'm doing this. One year to the day today since your dad got back from the hospital. Sort of an uncomfortable anniversary, but yeah. I do think fairly frequently about how these years are going to be remembered. It's certainly going to be a major impact on everybody, particularly on anybody growing up in this time. Anybody who's, school-aged kids or younger children, this is going to define their life. And that's, I don't know. Gotta be difficult to live with. Maybe it's just, how life is for them. That's just normal life is wearing a mask and not seeing your friends and Zoom calls for school. People can get used to a lot. I'll be curious to see how it influences people as they grow up. So this little tiny piece of terrain here, I'm probably going to do these eagle head busts in a metallic. But I'm just going to paint them white for now and come back to them. Just don't want to lose any of the detail if I can avoid it. So I'm trying not to put too much paint on them. This eagle here is cracked and broken, which implies that it's a stonework, grotesque, and not something added afterwards to this fountain. I feel like I did not get as much done today as I would have liked. But I still made progress. I think I'm going to finish working on this little fountain piece, and then I'm going to work on some skeletons for the remainder of today's stream, so that tomorrow I can do more of the stonework around those skeletons. I think I mentioned before, it is my plan for these little fountain pieces. And there's two of these little things that look like this. It's my plan for these to actually fill the fountain with resin, make it look like sort of brackish, dirty water. I haven't done a lot of resin work in the past, so this gives me an excuse to experiment with it. Very much the sort of thing that I want to be able to do on this stream is experimentation, learning techniques. So possibly we'll get to that on Finishing Friday. This Friday when I'm trying to finish off a couple of the pieces that we started this week. I don't think I'm going to completely finish these two large terrain pieces I'm working on. We'll see. Tomorrow is my day off from Battleground. So tomorrow I will probably do a slightly longer stream in the morning and possibly a bonus stream in the afternoon, just to try and get as much paint on the models as I can and see if we can get closer to done, so I have more to do during Finishing Friday. Because I very much want to be able to go into the weekend with some completed pieces. Just saying, yes, I accomplished some things. I don't know if you folks watched the video that I posted to my YouTube on Saturday, but I'd like to be able to do that every week, just to say, here's what we got done this week. Here's the progress we made. It was fun putting that video together. Running low on paint here. I don't think I've done a stream yet where I've used just a single color of paint throughout the entire stream. But you can see from my palette, I've done nothing but this one color so far today. Just a lot of pieces to do in this particular shade. How much time do I have? 25 minutes? It's time to do a couple of skeletons. I can finish this later. Whoops. fuzzy in there. Where'd that come from? We'll do some more work on this later. This paint is getting tacky. We'll finish off the inside of this fountain later. Fun though to get stuff done on another little piece. Let's set this aside for now. There. Let's do some skeletons. Brush could use better cleaning. I want to see if in the next 20 minutes I can do these backs of the skeletons, because I've gotten the front sides done. I'll do the back skeletons just quickly if I can. And then we'll call it for today. Possibly I'll do a couple of streams tomorrow, try and get more done. Oh, coffee. Oh man, I needed that. All right. Okay. Quick work. Maybe I'll have time to do something else today. Maybe I'll have time to start work on the bell. That should go pretty quickly. I'm just gonna do it in that gunmetal gray. That up pretty quickly. The bits of this model that are going to take the longest are these and the steps. Work on the steps tomorrow. We got, I don't know, a quarter of the marble areas done today. Could have done more, but it's a little bit of progress at least. I keep bapping the model with the back of my paintbrush. That's that skeleton done. As always, the wash will help a lot with this. All these skeletons are very satisfying to paint. They've got a lot of cool lines and stuff sculpted in. It's just very nice to do them. Get in with a wash at some point and make them look dirtied up, which is cool. And then highlight them to make them look a little bleached. That'd be fantastic. I contemplated doing them with a flesh wash instead of with the Null to make them look a little more gruesome. And I decided, nah, it's not really the direction I'm trying to go with these pieces. Not going for gory or gruesome or terrifying like that. Adorning your architecture and all kinds of dead people, that's fairly gruesome already. Doesn't need help from me. Yeah, these pieces are so cool. You are right. These are sort of the premier pieces of Warcry terrain. The bit with the bell and the bit with the head. The rest of the pieces, which I'll be working on next week, are much more generic Warhammer terrain. They're just broken temple walls or whatever. They're not as exciting or interesting. Maybe I should have started with the more generic and dull stuff so that I'd have something to look forward to in doing these pieces. But I kind of just wanted to get these done. Just wanted to do some work on them because they're so cool. Let me finish these skeletons and I'll show you the pieces I'll be working on next week. Left. I do have to wrap it up around noon because Amanda has to be at work at 1, and I'd like to be able to spend some time with her and have some lunch before she has to head out. Luckily, one of the advantages to the place we've moved to here is it is significantly closer to her place of work. So, she doesn't have to travel as far. So she doesn't have to leave as early, which is nice. There we go. Skeleton's done. Looking good. Sweet. We got those folks done. We have 9 minutes left. So very quickly in these last 9 minutes, I'm going to do the bell. I have to decide. So I've got these bands here on this wooden thing that the bell is hanging from. Should I do those in the same color as I do the bell? I'm thinking I'm going to do this in the scorpion brass. I'll probably do those bands in scorpion brass as well. And the bell itself in gunmetal gray. So where's my gunmetal gray? There we are. Gunmetal metallic. This stuff is so fun to work with because it gives great coverage and it looks good with just one quick coat. Bell is a nice wide open piece, so we can just do it pretty quickly, I think. And it's gonna look a lot better when we go in and do some weathering on it. Rivets here. Those are going to be great for detailing, weathering. Got this sort of seal here. I'm going to do that in the brass scorpion to make it pop right out. Got this sort of scroll work along the bottom, which again, when I do a wash and some weathering, that will look very cool. You were wondering when I would start the bell? I contemplated leaving it till last,
just because I'm all about leaving myself something to look forward to. And this is definitely one of the pieces of this terrain that looked like the most fun to paint. For the first time today, this bell has a little clapper inside. Just touch that with paint. Make it apparent to anybody who does actually turn the model upside down. I don't think many people are going to see the underside of a terrain piece. There's that clapper. Might as well sort of hit it with a little bit of paint. Let's get the other side of the bell. I think I'm going to call it a day. We'll get more work done tomorrow. Like I said, tomorrow is my day off, so I'll be able to dedicate a little more time to painting. Maybe do a slightly longer stream in the morning and possibly a bonus stream in the afternoon. Thank you, as always, everybody who showed up to hang out. Thank you to Jen and Novocaine for the Souls for your company while I got this done today. I'm still hopeful that we can hit our April follower goal. We need 5 more followers to reach our goal for April. So we'll work on that tomorrow. Maybe if I do a bonus stream, that will give some folks a chance to hang out that can't normally hang out because of the hours at which I stream. As always, this has been a lot of fun. Having people to chat with while I paint helps so much. So you folks are helping to get these models done. Someday, we'll be done with all this Warcry stuff. And anybody who's in the Boston, Massachusetts area, which obviously I realize you are not Novocaine, can come check them out in person and get a Warcry demo in the Abington Battleground Games and Hobbies location. But in the meantime, I've got a lot more terrain to do. We'll continue work on these 2 pieces tomorrow. And just get the last couple of bits of this bell done. And we'll call it a day for today. There. So we got some work done today. We worked on the base of this. We got the bell done. We worked on some skeletons. We worked on this tiny little fountain, which is not a big piece, but something fun to noodle with. And we made a little more progress on the base of this, around the head there. So yeah, some progress today, definitely. I look forward to seeing people again soon. Everybody, oh, there we go. Have a wonderful day. Take care of yourselves and each other. Be excellent to each other. And enjoy whatever art you choose to do. Bye, everybody. Have a great day.